day, sleeping the clouds away, on my way to where the air is sweet. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Although I'm a little concerned that cat might be destroying everything that's happening. That's a first for my live feed. Hang on. Ramon, what are you doing, sir? Pardon me. Yet, no, I think you were in exactly the wrong place. All right, my mistake. I blame the cat, or I should probably blame myself. I don't know. I left the door open. But welcome to another tune in live stream for Julia Pop. This time we are doing TV tunes. So those of you that tune in live, feel free to join in with the conversation. Those of you that see this later on, also feel free to join in and add as many comments as you like on whatever it is that I say that makes you want to speak up about your favorite TV tunes. I am trying to work on some lag improvements, and so hopefully the couple of adjustments that I made will make some improvements, so we'll have a little less lag than we had last week. Thank you again for those of you that did make it last week. That was, what did we do last week? We did tea and coffee. And so we had a lot of fun with that. Those of you that were joining with me, thank you so much. Those of you that are coming into the stream, thank you as well. Let me know if you're having any problems as far as hearing me or seeing me. Hopefully everything is coming up roses. And if it is not, please be sure to let me know. And like I said, we're going to talk about TV tunes. As you can see, I wore my Sesame Street shirt because that's one of the ones on my giant list of songs that I got really overwhelmed by when I started to look at everything. Oh, look, there's Evan. Hey, Evan.
Hey, I'll come in right now.
Okay, sure.
I'll be your guinea pig
All right.
tonight.
Hi, Kat. How's it going? Okay, we got a thumbs up, so it sounds like I think that our audio's sounding okay and our video's sounding okay, so that's good news. So anyway, sure. So as far as what I was trying to do this week, I was thinking about how to categorize everything because oftentimes you can categorize by decade, which I started out doing, and then over time I got really overwhelmed with how many songs there were, and we may have to do a part two, almost like a two-part special episode, right, to be continued, like what happens normally in TV shows, right? You have that very special two-part episode to be continued. So, and if you saw my previous post, the TV that I took a picture of is actually a TV that is in my house. It is not working. It is very old, as you can tell, but it is a very cool old television that we found for a really great price when we were thrift shopping. So we may do an entire episode on thrift shopping, which Evan has now been educated in how I go to a thrift shop and everything that goes on. And as you can see by him shaking his head,
it was the best.
It certainly was.
I haven't had a fun shopping excursion like that in a long time. That was awesome.
So that's for a later episode. So then I started to think, all right, well maybe we split it up into color and black and white, but that wasn't as big of a deal either. What I did want to bring up from a personal standpoint is how oftentimes in younger days when you didn't just have a pause button that you could press on these episodes, you would hear the theme song and run to sit down to watch the show. That was a very 60s, 70s, 80s. Those are the decades I know. Those of you that were alive in the 50s, you probably did the same thing. You would hear the opening phrases of, say, I Love Lucy, and come running and watch the show, because that was your chance to watch the show. Getting re-recordings or reruns, while people kind of got to a point where they griped about reruns, the truth is you didn't really see it after that one time. And so people thought of TV as being rather disposable. And over time, of course, showing the reruns on TV stations like Nick at Night brought it all around for us, so even people our age could see stuff that happened way back in the 50s or the 60s. And so even shows that you weren't alive for, you could become a fan of. And so now, of course, then there was the age of getting it on DVD. Now there's the age of getting it on streaming services. And so I wanted to at least run through a few things, and I did post my insanity of paper. As you can see, I know it's a little bit bright whenever I have the light going, but I have 2 sides of this paper, 3 columns, because that was how over the top the amount of songs that
I was there for a lot of the planning of this. It was super fun.
And really, we thought of all of these songs as being iconic. They really were iconic. And so we're going to try to rattle through as much as we can. I know I'm already 5 minutes in, but do feel free to pipe in on the comments with whatever favorites that you have. We can also talk a little bit about, a lot of times there were rock and roll artists or pop artists that would remake the song. Sometimes a TV show would ask a pop artist to sing the original song, and then sometimes all of those songs, any or all of those songs, would end up on the Billboard charts. And so we'll try to cover at least a little bit of some of that. And so if you are, if there's something you don't know about me, let me get you hip to this. I was a child in the 70s, a teenager in the 80s, and a 20-something in the 90s. So it was a really cool time to be born, which is probably why I like doing this Julia Pop thing, because we have a lot of really cool decades to cover. Plus, during that time, we were able to be nostalgic for some of those older decades like the 60s and the 50s. And of course, television was all over all of those decades. So for me, the first episodes that I remember, the first theme songs I remember, are animated kids songs. So one of the big classics, this is the oldest one that I came up with, was the Looney Tunes theme from 1937. That's how old the thing is. It is, of course, one of the ones that everybody always knows, one of the ones that everybody always does at the end of a video or anything like that. It's just that ridiculous theme that makes you think of Bugs Bunny dancing across the screen.
I can't even think of the melody right now in my head.
Yeah, so so that was the shorter version of it. That was the shorter. Sorry, I did the edit. So since like I said, I'm trying to come up with ways to edit because there's just so many. And then, of course, if I start singing Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. And then that one did get covered, and that was actually one of my favorite covers. That was the Ramones that did a cover version of that. That was pretty cool. I know there have been others, but the Ramones version is my favorite. And then how about if I sing da-dum, 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 da-dum. And that, well, that melody started at the movie, The Pink Panther, which was not animated. It translated then into the Pink Panther show, which was an animated show with Pink Panther running around doing stuff. So Clive, thank you for joining us as well. Pitch Perfect was one of the first ones that he said there. So thank you. I appreciate you mentioning Pitch Perfect. So then, of course, another one I can sing along with, Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? So, and of course we could keep going, but that's a big one too. And of course, it's a really good fun. And again, I might just riff through all of these, and you tell me what you recognize, you tell me what you don't recognize. If it happens to make you laugh, then cool. How about this one? Hey, 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 it's that Albert.
It's Husky Albert.
I know. Can you imagine? Like that, and that was a really
big-boned Albert.
It was really big deal back in the 70s.
I know.
And just calling him Fat Albert,
That's
like it wasn't a big deal. Like it wasn't going to hurt his feelings. I guess.
Felt like
but we might just kind of glaze over the creator of that for reasons.
Like, so then you question everything.
You sure do. Yeah. So, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what are they? Heroes on the Half Shell. So that, of course, was a very catchy one that I had to add. And then I did want to talk just a little bit about the composers, particularly into the 80s, 90s, and forward. Rugrats. Was created by a member of Devo.
Yes.
Mark Mothersbaugh. Yes. And so
I did not know that.
So as a teenager, as a young teenager, the first
She's
time.
not
No,
giving
I'm just throwing him everything.
amazing.
He's getting surprised at everything that's coming his way. So Mark Mothersbaugh, who was in Devo, like the main driving force with Devo, did that song. Can you believe that that it came from that? Because it's strange, it's odd, but it's also very,
It makes so much sense.
right?
Yeah.
I know. And when I was a teenager, I loved Devo, and of course, finding out that, and it's funny because I happened to watch the credits, and as I was watching the credits, I'm like, wait, I know that name. And that was when I made the discovery, and
It
he's
makes
done
so much
and
no sense that it makes sense.
and he's done other
Yeah,
stuff
a
too.
lot.
That was kind of the big one that I wanted to make sure that I brought up. And then of course here in a little bit we'll get to another really big one that came up in the 80s into the 90s, which would be Danny Elfman, who was a member of a band called Oingo Boingo that I also loved, and he's done a whole bunch of movie soundtracks as well as TV, and we'll get into those too. So Clive also says Biker Mice from Mars. Do you know Biker Mice from Mars?
No.
But that sounds
But
fantastic, and I
let's
think I want to
later.
watch that.
Yeah.
I don't even
Check it
know.
out.
Yeah.
Definitely
Oh, yeah.
check it
This
out.
is yeah. We're putting that on the list to definitely
And
check out.
if there's a theme song too with it, oh my god.
Right. No, I want to hear that
Like a
song
memorable,
if
yeah.
that is the case. So,
don't know.
and then of course we have Animaniacs, and a lot of these. What I'm noticing on as I kind of move through the next ones, they are actually performed by the characters. So something like Family Guy, where Peter and Lois and all of the rest of the family are performing it, the people who play the voices of the animated. So, and of course you have the Animaniacs, and they sing their own theme song as well, which of course goes by at rapid fire speed. I wish I could be that quick and sing it all. I'm not as good as
One of my
I'm not as
kids-
good as Dot.
One of my kids can do that whole
The whole thing all the way
states.
through.
Yeah, all the way
I'm
through.
always impressed. I have a friend Luke who sometimes is on here who can do like that the states or no, not the states, the countries
Yeah.
of the world. Yeah, Yakko's. It has a whole name to the
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. And of course, one of my favorites, the Powerpuff Girls. Now that one is kind of a tricky one because is this a famous band? If any of you have ever heard of the band BIS, B-I-S, they were the band that did this. So not a lot of people had heard of them, but they were a band that was out there. And so that was what happened a lot of times is a band would get invited to sing a song. And did they become famous? Were they already famous? It's anybody's guess, that kind of thing. So the next one that I can shout, and I know everyone will sing along with, is Are You Ready, Kids?
Aye, Captain.
See, he knew exactly what to say as soon as I said it. I know you know it. Feel free to sing in in your phone.
Oh.
We have so many to go through. Now, here's one that we discussed that Stephen and I agreed should make the list, but Evan wasn't so sure because he was less familiar with it. So y'all tell me what you think about Kim Possible. Call me, beep me if you want to reach me.
I just
And
missed
so,
it.
so Kat is doing the oh yes. Thank you, Kat, for echoing perfectly the way we wanted that echoed. And that was actually done by Christina Milian, who was a famous performer at the time. And so, and then just a little moment of the voice actress was singing in it too. Speaking of, now maybe fewer people heard of this because of course we know Scooby-Doo, but did you know that Scooby-Doo probably has had a dozen reboots at this point? And I'm not just talking about the movies, I'm talking about television redos, and some of them had like they were like little babies, like remember when Muppet Babies was a big thing, then Tiny Toons, and Scooby-Doo had a version of that, a pup named Scooby-Doo actually was what it's called. But
I
of
watched
course
that
there
one.
were there were a whole bunch of different ones. And so my personal favorite, if you know, I'm a big fan of Simple Plan. I kind of belie my age a little bit because that should be for millennials to like, but I'm a Gen Xer and I love Simple Plan. So of course they do What's New Scooby-Doo, and they're very catchy, and it's Simple Plan. Of course they're catchy. So very poppy and very catchy. And then of course Teen Titans was another one. Teen Titans. And that was a Japanese, a J-pop band that did it. And I've now totally forgotten the name of them. I did not take as good of notes as I wish I would have.
Were they different? Like the Teen Titans?
Yes, there was
and
Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. And there's a very split decision as far as what people
Right.
prefer and what they don't like.
Do they have the same theme?
No, they do not.
Yeah.
They have completely different ones. And so as I was going through, and by the way, I will, the YouTube playlist that I posted, I will definitely be adding to. I only got a third of the way through my giant list before it was like midnight last night, and I'm a little old lady and I need sleep. Sorry, everyone. But I will finish that list. It'll take me another probably day or so just to get through it, because that's the thing. It's a little trickier, and that the final one that I wanted to say on the kids stuff, HR Puffin stuff, one of my friends mentioned, so thank you very much. And so if you're older, you might recognize that one. But if you're newer, you might recognize Phineas and Ferb. There's 104 days of summer vacation, right? And so my kids watched that.
show.
And of course I watched along with them, which I thought was pretty great. And who was it that was singing that? Bowling for Soup. So Bowling for Soup, and it was really cute because Bowling for Soup and Simple Plan went on tour and did like a little reel of them kind of meeting and greeting and singing the song at each other. So yes, so Clive also mentioned the Cyberpunk Batman Beyond theme. Yes, and so
I remember that. Yeah,
right, and
yeah,
as I was going
that was
through,
good.
like you can't just type in Batman theme because you're going to get all the themes. But not only that, a lot of the themes that are made for kids to watch, you can't save them to a YouTube playlist because if you set your video to be kid mode, whatever their official name is for it, when you do that, you can't save the video. So when I was trying to create a playlist a while back for They Might Be Giants when they did all those children's songs, all of those are listed for children, so you can't use them. But I'm hoping that maybe I'll find that Cyberpunk Batman theme and I will try to get it added to the YouTube list. What's like I said, especially with animated and kid stuff, it's hard to find ones that I can add to the list. But I'm gonna keep trying. So
one of the questions that we had though about Phineas and Ferb too was like they had a song for every episode, an original song, right? Were those all Bowling for Soup? We don't, that's hard to.
I think quite a few of them were. I did not research my way.
Impressive.
Yeah, I did not research my way through that one.
That's what I loved about the show so much.
But so the other part with animated, we didn't have just kids animated. We also had animated primetime, and I've already talked about Family Guy. Of course, American Dad is kind of take two of Family Guy, and it's Seth MacFarlane singing that one too.
Shows without listening to the entire.
Exactly, and
beginning.
Of course the Flintstones and the Jetsons. Those have lasted for so many generations, and so many people know them and love them. And so of course I had to give them their props. One that may not have made the list for everybody, but Futurama. Ding 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. And it's such a simple thing, right? And there's no lyrics to it, but you keep singing along. See? He's still singing. That's how that goes. So Futurama, of course, being one of my favorite. Oh, yeah, I only named my band Bender after a character you might know. I don't know.
That was the lead.
Yeah, we probably should have. But and then of course with Futurama, of course that's a Matt Groening. So The Simpsons, and of course everybody knows those first notes of The Simpsons, and there of course it starts. And of course that was another one that was made by Danny Elfman. Yep. So Danny Elfman was also responsible for something else in here, Tales from the Crypt, and then of course he was responsible for so many movie themes. Basically, if a Tim Burton show was happening, then
like at this
Danny
point
Elfman
we've just begun the Danny
Elfman we're not.
Journey.
Yeah, we're just touching the surface of that. So another adult cartoon, South Park. Of course, Primus. You gotta love Les Claypool and his little banjo playing character that he has, and every year that would change. Now that was something interesting that I found with some of these. Not all sitcoms kept the same song every year, and some of them would keep the same song but change the rhythm, the beat, or whoever was performing them. So say Roseanne was a good example. It was just kind of this bluesy thing. Well, Blues Traveler heard it, and then they did a version of it, and then their version ended up getting used from then on. And so you never quite know. And another interesting fact, as we're kind of easing our way towards the comedy, I Dream of Jeannie. If you go back and look, because everybody knows do 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 do. Everybody knows that melody, right? But the first year did not have that melody, did not have that song. So it was a live action opening sequence too, because we remember the cartoon, of course, where she's dancing around and gives him a kiss and everything and gets sucked back into the bottle. But there was originally just a story being told about how, Captain Nelson, Colonel Nelson, landed and found the genie in the bottle. And then she came along. And so it was basically telling the story of the premise of the story, just like an opening credits often does.
Yeah.
But then from there, it switched through the song, and then the song became iconic. So, and then of course, King of the Hill, the refreshments. I can't believe I almost forgot those because luckily I have my friend Jared who listed that. I don't know how I missed that one. I love that one. It's great. It's amazing. My bass player can play the entire bass line and has whenever I'm taking a sip of beer on stage. That happens quite often. Everybody's like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Play it again." And it's like, okay, we got to go on to our next song. So speaking of next, we've got to go on to kids programming. Now, here was the other thing. When I was divvying everything up, at first I was like, oh, let's put animated and kids together. And I realized I could split a lot of that apart. So we have live action. So Mickey Mouse Club, that was an interesting one because, of course, it's the same melody from 1955 that some of you might not have remembered. There was it was the 70s that they had a little bit of a comeback of one. And people like Lisa Whelchel, Blair from Facts of Life, she was a Mouseketeer at one point. Yeah, so, and then, of course, it came back as MMC, Mickey Mouse Club, that, of course, had Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, and so it had a very different sound there. So Kat said, wasn't it on a beach scene? Yes, so they actually show Tony Nelson landing on the beach and being stranded, and Genie coming out of the bottle and coming up to him. So it does take place completely on a beach where he lands after coming back from space. So he's an astronaut. So yeah, that's exactly right. And of course, one of the other classics we remember, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It's a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? I know, and it was very sad.
That still soothes me to this day.
Right? Yeah. It's so pleasant. And the thing is like when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm just so over Mr. Rogers. I like Sesame Street and said, oh, I'm over, I'm older than that. And then over time I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I like what he does. I appreciate what he does and how he taught people. So he taught an entire generation. Yeah, and he had the train and the puppets and all the little details. And he was just such a thoughtful, sweet, kind, too good for this world human being, really, was what it came down to. And of course, the next one that I have listed on here is Sesame Street. Now, with Mickey Mouse Club, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street Electric Company, all of those are performed by actors on the cast. So, and in fact, there's only one that I have listed on here. Okay, I have the worst time trying to figure out where to put Batman, the series from 1966. Where do you put that? It's not animated, although the opening sequence is. Is it an action show? Is it a comedy? Is it for kids? Is it for grown-ups? I had the hardest time figuring out.
That's why it was so amazing.
Exactly. And of course, what do you know from that one? Batman. And of course, right? Thwack. Thwack was probably my favorite of all the little POW things that they would do.
Thwack.
Yeah. Thwack was my favorite. It was just so. I don't know and I don't care, but it was the perfect sound. It was a perfect sound for it.
It's a hit that starts with air. It's like
thwack, and it's perfect. So other ones, and these are also that I as I looked my way through them, performed by the actors on the shows. Fraggle Rock. So of course it is not animated as puppetry, but it's still a kid thing. So there we go. Kat says onomatopoeia, and now help me out. I think you can never tell I was an English major. Sometimes I forget things. Onomatopoeia, is that the one where it sounds like what it is? Like if something has a crunch to it, the word crunch sounds like crunch. Because I never can remember, because I can't remember if I don't remember but Kat,
don't leave us hanging here.
Yeah, so I think that's what that is. I think Kat's got it. Sounds.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds. All right. Very good. So and then of course, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Yeah, you got it? No, and anybody? Do it, rockapella. Nothing. Dang it.
I didn't watch that.
Well,
I loved the book.
So it was actually after my time, and I'm sure it was. Yeah, and it was on PBS, and so it was like a game. It was almost like a game show. Yay! Thank you, Kat, for your English major coming through to help me out, because I feel like I've forgotten everything. But no, it's cool because Carmen Sandiego was a geography show. It was all teaching kids about geography, but they had an a cappella group. And what did they name that a cappella group? Rockapella. Yes, a 4-part harmony guy group. They were fantastic, catchy as could be, and they were on the cast. And so every day when you came in for your new assignment, like you were detectives trying to find where in the world she was, and you'd go through like a whole bunch of different countries and a whole bunch of different continents to figure out where she was. And at the end, you'd figure it out. Everybody
Did you play
figure
the
out what
computer game though version of it?
I did not. No.
That's
So,
my
because
first
again,
introduction
this
to-
was after my childhood, but before my kids. So it was
Right.
kind of in a gap era. And my kids might
I
have
remember
seen
when that show came out.
some
yeah.
of Carmen Sandiego. So
Yeah.
so it's a little bit of a gap. And then of course, don't we want the best of both worlds? Yes, we do. Hannah Montana sang her own song because of course she was Miley Cyrus. So that's the kids section and the animated section. That's all. That's all we've gotten to so far. The sitcom. The importance of the song to the sitcom to really tell the story. So I'm rattling them off hard. We've already talked about I Love Lucy. Andy Griffith's show. Did you know that was Andy whistling the whistle part? I did not know that.
It makes me happy that it was.
Yep, I did not. So Nora, welcome. Thank you for being here. And she's saying hey to Clive. So that's good. Cool. I love it. And of course, the Dick Van Dyke Show. So the video that I had posted to Dick Van Dyke Show was funny because most people always remember him falling over the ottoman. In first couple of seasons, he does. He falls over the ottoman. In the next 2 to 3 seasons, he skips over the ottoman, and then another one he trips over nothing. So there are 3 that they do a compare and contrast, and that's another one that the very first season did not have that music. Da, 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 da. They didn't have that music at the very first season. It didn't come until the second season. Yeah, right? And then, of course, come listen to my story about a man named Jed. Poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And that one is a fun one because it was telling the story of Jed Clampett for the Beverly Hillbillies. The Rifleman. See, I went through so many Westerns. We're going to skip ahead. I'm going to find Westerns, and we're going to go through those real quick, too. But that was done by a famous bluegrass group, Flatt and Scruggs. Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs did that song. And sometimes they were actually invited to be on the show. One of my favorite little things that they did is they actually did a few shows at Silver Dollar City. Back when Silver Dollar City was opening up,
cool.
the guy that, one of the guys that owned one of the nature preserves there was friends with the Hershins who created Silver Dollar City, and they did a couple of shows at Silver Dollar City. So if you find some of those episodes, you can see what the place used to look like. So yes, Gilligan's Island, another perfect sitcom. They describe the whole thing in song all the way through. And so many people know every single word. And a fun one about that first season, they used to say, what was it? The movie star and everyone else. Instead of saying the professor and Mary Ann, they would just say, and the rest. And it was like, oh, poor Mary Ann and the professor. So season 2, and it only ran for 3 seasons. People think it ran a lot longer, but it was so many reruns. And so it was that second season. They're like, come on, give the professor and Mary Ann their props, and they did. And so they got added to the beginning, the opening singing. So of course, one of the ones that I mentioned after mentioning Beverly Hillbillies, there was a bit of like a country vibe that CBS had at the time, and it was Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres. Green Acres is the place to be. Another one sung by actors. So Eddie Albert, I think was his name, was singing it. And of course, darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue. And yes, so Ava, that was actually Ava. That was her sister Ava. So Ava and Zsa Zsa were sisters. Yes, and that is a whole entire story. If you want to go down a weird born in Hungary, made their lives in Hollywood rabbit hole, find out about Ava and Zsa Zsa Gabor. They have some of the most amazing stories, and married like 4, 5, 6, I don't know, I've lost track, so many times they got married. But I hope that somewhere out there there's a book that they have written, like an autobiography before they died. That is my greatest hope. Speaking of, I know I'm not going to shill things, but Evan hasn't heard about this either, but it would just so happen that the most recent book that I now have that I'm going to be reading is Rick Springfield, Late at Night. Yeah, I didn't realize that 15 years ago when he put out. So sorry, Squirrel. I just got
Julie
like completely off topic.
Taking me on a Rick
I
Springfield
have.
rabbit hole.
There's just
I'm digging a lot of it. His new record's actually really
and we'll
good.
get into that later.
Yeah.
But just to draw it back into the television conversation, did you know that he was actually in a cartoon show and he sang all the songs for it? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was he was in that. I know. And then he was Dr. Noah Drake on General Hospital. So there we go. We brought it back. So I didn't really save a lot of soap opera songs because it didn't quite get into. I don't know. Again, there was so much. I was highly overwhelmed by everything. So, but yes, please continue naming all of the great sitcoms. It might turn into that, depending on how far down this page I managed to get. So, of course. Good, I'm glad to hear it. And then the third one, so after Green Acres, was Petticoat Junction. There we go. Now we're back on the train tracks. There we are. And so, of course, Petticoat Junction. And of course, it had the little train sounds and everything. Is that not one that you're familiar with? No. Okay, so I'm the dork that watched all the country rerun stuff. I'm probably the one that's... I'm hoping you've got this one, though. Hey, hey, with a monkey. People save a monkey around. Oh, I loved that one. I was so happy because actually MTV brought that back. So they hadn't really been playing very many of the reruns. Well, MTV needed some late night programming because they were running out of videos to show and were showing them like 10 times a day. So they started showing the Monkees, and an entire new generation. So not just the people from the 60s, but the people that were my age, 14, 15, 16, watching MTV came up watching the Monkees, and they got back together and went on tour and did another album. So very cool.
I was introduced to him the same way then.
So here's a fun Monkee segue. Davy Jones, who was featured on The Brady Bunch. Yeah, here's a story of a lovely lady. Yeah, we know that one. We know that one. Not only was it made for the TV show, but also for the movies when they came out. So, absolutely. Let's see. We've already talked about the Munsters, Gilligan's Island. Ah, yes, Bewitched. 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 Did you know that has lyrics? Those are the only lyrics I know. Apparently, whoever was writing the song wrote the lyrics, and the lyrics didn't get used. It was just an instrumental. So, yeah. And another one that had a cartoon beginning, but then was live action. So, another one that I hope everybody knows and loves is the Munsters. Yes, so Kat is with us. Kat is with us on the Monkees. Yes, so thank you. We share that. We absolutely do. So, and then another one, the Addams Family. So, of course, Munsters and Addams get compared all the time, and of course, we know to Snap Twice, right? And of course, Snap Twice gets used in the TV show, in the show Wednesday, which is a whole entire thing. And then, of course, as we know, the Addams Family, also a very popular movie. Speaking of very popular movies, MASH. That song has a very odd name. It's called Suicide is Painless. Yeah, it's a weird name for a song, but if you listen to the lyrics, they're very kind of depressed lyrics about going through a really bad time, which if you're going through a war in Korea or Vietnam, it would be a very bad time. So when you hear the instrumental version of Suicide is Painless, they actually had one that had lyrics in the movie that the TV show was based on.
Is that really heavy?
It was very heavy and very sad. And so very but the thing is when you listen to that song, it's very melancholy, right? Totally. And so that's where that melancholy comes from. So
like it doesn't match the action that's going on.
Exactly. So complete left turn. Let's get away from the melancholy. Let's get to the happy stuff, okay? So, who can turn the world on with her smile? That would be Mary Tyler Moore. And so she had one of the most uplifting ones, which she throws the hat in the middle of Minneapolis. You gotta love it. Of course, yes, I did say MASH, M-A-S-H, Clive. Indeed I did. So, and that oftentimes has many different meanings for many different people. But another one, people, let me tell you about my best friend. We know, and a lot of times people know that song, but they don't know the sitcom that it came from, which was The Courtship of Eddie's Father. Yeah. And it lasted maybe 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure that the dad that was on there was played by the guy that ended up playing the Incredible Hulk later, which that's another one. You want, oops, crap. We just ended up in melancholy theme songs again. Crap. I didn't want to do that. Really, but then we ended up in melancholy theme songs. Yes, the theme song was so sad, right? So sad. All right, back to the happy. Hello World is a song that we're singing. Come on, get happy. Of course, the Partridge Family, and they did sing their own. At some point, the people were talking about having David lip sync, but then once they found out that David could actually sing, he got to sing on everything. So that was a fun thing. And of course, one of the best known melodies. I can't remember the first lyric of it, but All in the Family. Listening to Carol O'Connor. Listening to Edith and Archie. And to think that you were that horrible noise that I could just blow out a microphone with, but I just won't do it. But yeah, so of course, yet another classic. And of course, a spinoff from All in the Family. And then there's Maude. And then there's Maude. So, of course, Maude had a really good one. And that was one that did have a famous person. Donny Hathaway was singing that song. So, which was pretty cool. Okay, and so Kat said, "Greatest American Hero, believe it or not,
yes.
I'm walking on air."
I watched.
Yeah, sorry, I just sang it, and now it's stuck in your head, isn't it? I'm sorry, bad word. And
I'm sorry.
And that was actually one of the first ones that Steven brought up because he is a big fan of not only the show, but he also it's a rare thing for him to like a pop song, but he did like that particular pop song. So yes, totally agree on that one.
So good.
Now, speaking of ones that had a different song first season and then changed. Happy Days. These days are ours. They would use that for the ending on first season, but on the beginning of the first season, they did Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and the Comets. Yeah. And then they started putting
reruns,
but then they started putting Happy Days, the theme song, at the first and at the last. So another really big one. Now this was one that I wasn't sure was going to make the list, but it was Barney Miller, and it has one of the funkiest bass lines. So if you know it or don't know it, give it a listen. It definitely gives, and I'm saying fighting words probably, it gives Seinfeld bass line a run for its money. I
need another bass line.
So yes, and so I will add that to, to the list. You be the judge. Now then we're moving on up to the east side. That was the first one that Evan thought of when I asked him, and now he can't stop. It's troublesome. So, and then another one, One Day at a Time. This is it. And what's cool about One Day at a Time is that now there's a remake of it that's Latin inspired that has Gloria Estefan singing it, and it's very Latino. And I think that was such a cool way to do it. So I'm a big fan. So another one was called Welcome Back, Kotter. Welcome back. And the singer of that was a guy named John Sebastian, who used to be in a band called Love and Spoonful. Spoonful. Really? And if I'm remembering correct, they're the ones that did What a Day for a Daydream, right? Isn't that them? I think that's them. So another one that,
got a bunch.
And then the one that I would keep on singing was Love, Exciting and New. So Love Boat, right? It was so soupy and syrupy and like. Yeah,
the most syrupy song
it's stuck in my head, right? And and then another slightly one that not everybody knows is Alice, the waitress in Arizona, right? It was called "There's a New Girl in Town," and of course it's Linda Lavin singing it, and she's a lounge singing it. So that's another one that definitely has a lot of cheese to it. And then I'm pretty sure I have quoted this one. Come on, knock on our door. And I actually we actually watched a few episodes of Three's Company. I have no idea.
Maybe like
I'm not sure. And then one of the more mellow ones from that general time period was the theme from Taxi. It had a flute solo. Yeah, but a jazzy flute solo, right? So I'll try to include that too. Another one that kind of had a jazzy feel to it was Hill Street Blues. I actually had the sheet music for that and was learning how to play it. Maybe I'll relearn how to play it and post that.
I have too. I've tried to. That is a song pianists want to learn.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And another one that they had a famous person do was... Just a Good Old Boys. That'd be Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah. And Waylon Jennings, he was the narrator. And I always loved how he was the narrator at the beginning. Well, let's see what them Duke boys are up to this week. Well, looks like them Duke boys got themselves in a pickle, and they're like in an actual pickle jar or something. Yeah. So Clive agrees with me. Jazz flute. Hell yeah. I'm with you. You're with me. Yes. Agreed. And another one. Here's another slightly more obscure one. A show called Bosom Buddies that had a guy named Tom Hanks in it.
Yeah.
The theme song was Billy Joel, My Life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, that's on that cassette, because I was listening to Billy Joel like in the mid-'80s when that came out. And I was like, wait, that is the actual song. That's not somebody else covering it. That's actual Billy Joel doing the song. So I always thought it was cool when already famous people would do that. So from there, all right, so here's what's going on right now. We've probably got about 7 minutes to go, and we're barely halfway through, like I said. So I'm going to at least get you through.
You want to hit the...
I think I'm going to get you through the
hot points?
comedy. I did promise westerns, so let me get through those westerns real quick.
Yeah.
Happy trails to you. until we meet again. That would be Roy Rogers, and he did have a TV show, and they did sing it for the show ending. And of course Bonanza. And then one of the more rare ones that I want you to check out, and that I do have saved on my video, is Wild Wild West. But no, not that one. Okay, Will Smith did fine. Will Smith did fine in the movie. It was great, but no. Yeah. And the thing is like in the 60s into the 70s, like stabby horns was such a big deal. And I love it. Like, where are all those horn players from all those years ago? So speaking of great bass lines. I worked that out with a kid once in the lesson. Right? The horn parts. Yeah, exactly. The stabs. Exactly. And so I am going to skip around just a little bit because I want to talk about rock stars that lend their music. CSI. There are 4 different CSIs, and The Who gave 4 different songs, which I thought was just fantastic. So, Who Are You? Won't Get Fooled Again. I Can See for Miles. And, I can't remember. Oh, Baba O'Reilly. Look at that. I remembered all 4. Yeah, they gave that show a gift, which shows they go to, but it was like CSI, CSI Miami, CSI New York, and CSI Cyber. I was not familiar with it, but apparently that happened as well. So one of the big ones that I was a big fan of that also kind of had like a jazz, I guess maybe a jazzy feel, but more of a surf feel, was Hawaii Five-O. And I loved how heavy the drums were. The drums were just like so. I don't remember that, but that sounds like, yeah. And it was like there were timpani involved, really like unmuffled bass drums. Oh, yeah. It sounded fantastic. So somebody was dancing on them, probably. Yeah, big fan of that. Big fan. So yes, absolutely. And then and then also one that Steven brought up too, and this was kind of a tricky one because it only ever happened, it usually wasn't at the beginning of the show, it was at the end of the show, so it was the bumper at the end. The Benny Hill Show always used Yakety Sax was the name of it. It was by a sax player by the name of Boots Randolph, who did jazz, easy listening, all kinds of stuff. But everybody hears that, and you don't think of Boots Randolf, you think of Benny Hill chasing or getting chased all around. And so when it gets so over the top, right? That it's all you think about. It goes past like knowing the name of the song is Yakety Sax, knowing that it's time-lapse video. You just know it. You just know it as the Benny Hill song, and then when people add it, they know the meme. They know the trope, I guess you could say. So but it was originally. It was originally just a song that Boots Randolph had done, and Benny Hill used it to huge effect. Huge effect. So absolutely. And then of course, I want to make sure that I mention Golden Girls, Thank You for Being a Friend. And then let me tell you a little story about how certain things are all connected. So, Thank You for Being a Friend was originally a song by a pop artist by the name of Andrew Gold. He's the one who wrote it. He's the one who sang it. He has a couple of weird songs. One of them is called Undercover Angel, which is really kind of slightly cringy lyrics, and maybe I'll share that at some point. Lyrics from the 70s? I know. What were the odds? What were the odds that we would have cringy lyrics in the 70s? But he didn't sing it for Golden Girls. Cindy Fee sang it, and he did. But what he did sing, he sang the theme song for Mad About You. Let's jump into the final frontier. That was him singing it. Oh, cool. So it's all connected. So he was doing all kinds of jingles and stuff like that, and this time decided to sing his own and sang it for Mad About You, which a lot of people tend to remember. So let's see. So we have 3 minutes left, so we're going to go ahead and close out with a couple of the I was just trying to cover as much on the comedy side as I could. Of course, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There are people that know that thing from top to bottom. And there was an extended version from the first season, and then there was the chopped down version that had a little bit less because some of it tells more. But it tells more of the story, like when he's in the cab riding around. So, there is the extended version, and then there, of course, is a very popular version of that. And then the other one that I wanted to bring up before we wrapped up is That 70s Show. So, of course, they did In the Street. Now, In the Street was originally done by a band called Big Star. It was just kind of covered by somebody, and I don't remember the name of the guy that did it, but we can get it pulled up. But everybody thought it was Cheap Trick. First season, everybody's like, oh, that Cheap Trick song. It's like, no, it's a Big Star song. It's being sung by somebody else. But the second year, Cheap Trick is like, well, hey, we'll sing it for you guys. And so they sing it. So then it was Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
And so from then until season 8, there it was, Cheap Trick. So, so like I said, we've only got 2 more minutes.
Great song.
So I've only got 2 more minutes. So clearly we're going to have to do a part 2. Now, part 2 is going to have to cover, look at what I didn't get to, sketch comedy, game shows, dramas, action and cop drama, even though I did mention CSI, and sci-fi and live variety shows. So we will get to those in a second. We'll do a part 2 Electric Boogaloo for you of that. And so like I said,
taping it right after.
What I mentioned before is like, did I bite off more than I could chew? My friends, the answer was yes.
Yay, though.
Yeah.
Yay
so,
that you did.
But we have the ability to do more. And thank you guys, everybody. I appreciate you guys chit-chatting and talking along with me, everybody that's joined me. So, since you stuck around to the right amount of time, you get to be the first ones to get the announcement of what we're doing next week. And yes, my friends, next week is going to be a very hot topic. Because we're going to talk about Hot Topic. If you don't know this about me, I worked at a Hot Topic for 4 years. And I will tell all of the jokes that go along with that, all the stuff that we did, all the great things that we sold. Yes, I promise you, there is 30 to 45 minutes of this. And I want to make sure that I talk to all of... And
in
that's,
10 years, I've heard a lot of
And that's the best thing. I worked there from 2008 to 2012. And the friends I made, I'm still friends with to this day. Not just the people I worked with, but the people who were customers with us are still friends, loved ones, amazing. And so I can't wait to hear your Hot Topic stories. I will be telling my Hot Topic stories. Like I said, I will promise you that I will make sure to get that, I will get that YouTube list updated in the next day or 2, and then we'll move on to talking about Hot Topic. And I will definitely be posting as many things as I can, as many pictures as I can. So, yes. So, of course, oh no, Clive says, the topic takes, and he is laughing. So, and yes, absolutely. And so Kat is, Kat, yes, right? You said it perfect. Who would have thought we would still know all of these theme songs? Yeah. So, yes. So we're going to have some fun. Like I said, even if Hot Topic wasn't your thing, I've got some really fun stories for you. I really do. If it was or if it wasn't, and the other part of it too, if you've had any experience in retail, join us. And even if you haven't, just come and hear the stories, because the stories are a blast and a whole lot of fun, and you get to kind of hear the inner workings of how that kind of thing works. So so we're wrapped up for time. And Kat, thank you so much. Clive, thank you so much. Everybody that was posting, everybody that was watching, those of you that end up watching later, again, feel free to add comments to this as we go. We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep trying to make the improvements as we go. So thank you very much to my special guest, Evan. I asked him if he wanted to or if he didn't, and he's kind of still along to help, be part of the Peanut Gallery, which of course you have more collages. I did move where I am in the magic room so you could see TV collages behind me, whether you can tell or not. But I thought I'd move because that's exactly.
Always need to look for things like that, because that's always involved in the planning. There are Easter eggs happening everywhere.
This magic room is ridiculous, and if you ever get to visit, I would show you around. So, all right. Well, thank you again, guys.
It was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad you did. Of course. So, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you later.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Well, good. Thank you.
Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I cussed.
That's all right. Hang on.